art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. In Jesus' mighty name, hallelujah, amen. Disclaimer. All footage taken falls under the Fair Use of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1998. Therefore, no breach of privacy or copyright has been committed. This video is made for educational purposes only.
Time to wake up.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake.
Time to wake up.
Happy Sabbath, grace and peace, shalom and shalom. All praises and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the mighty name of Jesus. Welcome to the Wake Up Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. And now for your host, Brother AzzaKFingers.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sabbath, Shabbat Shalom, grace and peace, shalom and shalom to everybody out there. Thank you for tuning into The Wake Up Show with myself, AzzaKFingers, produced by the God of Israel. I'm just a humble host, just trying to get into the kingdom because that fire hot. All right. So please like and share the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, hit that bell so you can get notified every time I go live or upload a video. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get these opening verses out the way because we have a good lesson today. So we're going to go ahead and start with Isaiah 8:20. To the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. What is the book saying? The book is saying to the law and to the testimony. So you can't just have the law and you just can't have the testimony. You have to have a balance. And what is that balance? The law and the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, is because there's no light in them. So if they're not speaking to the law and the testimony, there's no light in them. This means you have to teach from Genesis to Malachi and also Matthew to Revelation. Just can't teach the OT and not the new. Can't just teach the new and not the old. Got to be a balance, right? Let's see the balance according to scripture. Who's going to make it into this kingdom? Because they were balanced. Who's doing this? Let's go to Revelation 14. Now, I know if you want to make it into the kingdom like I do, I'm going to teach the law and the testimony. Why? Because this is what these people did right here. Let's read. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God, the law, and the faith of Jesus, the testimony. It's this simple. This is the simplicity in Christ. And some people just don't get it. But I pray that they do. Let's read it one more time. Here are the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Jesus. These are the saints that will get into the kingdom, right? Who does not want the saints to get into the kingdom? Let's go back a couple of chapters to Revelation 12 and 17. And the dragon. Now this is Satan. This is one of his titles, right? And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God, the law, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. The testimony. Again. There it is again. If you want salvation, keep the commandments of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ. Okay. So I got one chat rule for everybody. Please do not engage with those who object. If someone comes in the chat rooms and starts wilding out and stuff, not only I'll see it, but some of my brothers that are on YouTube and on Facebook will deal with it. But please just stay with the lesson. Don't let someone distract you, because there may be a jewel dropped and you may miss it because you were too much involved with trying to prove something to whoever comes into the chat. So with that being said, we'll be right back.
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake! Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake!
And welcome back. Welcome back to The Wake Up Show. I'm your host, AzzaKFingers. Please like and share the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we're going to deal with this 400 years again. All right. Let's get something clear about this 400 years, people. The lesson I'm going to show you today is 400 years in Egypt. I know people go to different books and say, see, we were not there for 400 years. It has to apply here in America. Problem with that is when we read the book and we see that they were brought out after 400 or 430 years, they were brought out that same day. So we have to apply that to when we have ourselves here in America, that on that 400th year, at the end of the 400th year, we should be brought out on that same day, if this is the prophecy according to us now. But that's not the case, because we're still here. Yesterday was August 20th. Guess how many years that is from 1619? That's 402 years. So we need to find out when this actually happened, because evidently it's not happening now. Now, this is the first time people have used these scriptures to predict that, we're going home, that Christ is coming and taking us home. All right. From my understanding, talking to elders, this happened back in 1965. it happened again. I think it was either 1972 or 1979. Somewhere in the 70s, there was another prediction. A lot of us know about the false prediction of 2000 that, America was going to come to an end. But that has nothing to do with the 400 years. But now we have people saying, okay, well, it's 2019 based off of 1619. When people think the first slaves were brought here. And the first slaves were not brought here in 1619. Basically, what went on in our school system is that the English and the Dutch are the ones who run the school system at that time. And we're going to see today that they may have said 1619, but the Spanish were here 100-something years before them and were bringing slaves at that time too. So, before we get to that part, we're going to get to what this book says. So, let's go to Acts 7, because a lot of people have used this as a prophecy, and it's not a prophecy. All right, Acts 7. Let's get to it. So again, we're here from this slavery, and we're seeing that there's things 400 years. You can't see it because I got it on there. 400 years just about up from slavery. All right, that's what has been going on before 2019, and then 2019 is past. So what's the problem? So we're gonna go here to Stephen's testimony. And that's what we're going to read. We're going to deal with Stephen's testimony, because people have said, this is actually a prophecy. And that's far from the truth. Let's read Stephen's testimony in Acts. So let's go to Acts 7, and we're going to start reading at verse 2. And he said, men, brethren, and fathers, hearken. Now let's also remember, this is where Stephen was being put on trial. All right. So let's read. And he said, men, brethren, and fathers, hearken. The God of glory appeared unto our father Abraham, when he was in Mesopotamia, before he dwelt in Shiran. And he said unto him, get thee out of the country for thy kindred, and come unto the land which I show thee. Then came he out of the land of the Chaldeans, and dwelt in the Shiran, and from thence, when his father was dead, he removed him unto land wherein now he dwelt. And he gave him none inheritance in it, no, not so as much as his foot on. Yet he promised that he would give it to him for a possession, and to his seed after him, when as yet he had no child. So what we're reading right now is Stephen breaking down the history of Israel. All right, this is what he's doing. He's breaking down the history of Israel, but he's actually pointing it at the Israelites' face. All right, we're going to see what's going on here. So verse 6, and God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage, and entreat them evil 400 years. So he's breaking down the history. He's not giving a prophecy of what's going to happen in America. Remember, we are teaching from the law and the testimony. And what this dude is giving is a testimony of what happened. He already started with Abraham, right? Now he's talking about the dream that that God spoke unto Abraham. So let's keep reading. And the nation whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, and God, and after that shall they come forth. Let me read that again. And the nation to whom which they shall be in bondage I will judge, said God, and after that shall they come forth and serve me in this place. All right, let's read verse 8. And he gave him a covenant of the circumcision, and so Abraham begot Isaac and circumcised him in the 8th day, and Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot the 12 patriarchs. All right, let's skip down to verse 17. But when the time of the promise drew near, Now, wait a minute. When the time of the promise drew near, this is, again, he's testifying of what happened in the past. But when the time of the promise drew near, God had sworn unto Abraham, which we read early in the beginning of chapter 7, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt. See, the promise was coming near, but the people in Egypt were the ones that were multiplying. Till another king arose, which knew not Joseph. The same dwelt subtly with our kindred, and evil entreated our fathers, so that they cast out their young children, and to the end they might not live. Let's skip down to verse 33 now, because again, what Stephen is doing here, he's telling the past of Israel to the Israelites he's talking to right now. He's not giving a prophecy. Skip down to verse 33. Then said the Lord to him, put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place where thou standest is holy ground. I have seen the affliction of my people which is in Egypt, and I have heard their groaning, and I came down to deliver them, and now come, I will send thee into Egypt. Right? Not into America. Verse 35. This Moses, whom they refused, saying, who made thee a ruler and a judge, the same did God send to be a ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the angel which appeared unto him in the bush. This is the stuff that Stephen was talking about. He wasn't talking about anything else. He was telling us what actually happened in the past. People have read this and said, see, this is about us in the future. So, matter of fact, let's read verse. Yeah, I didn't read verse. Okay, verse 36. He brought them out after that he had showed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt and in the Red Sea and in the wilderness 40 years. Now let's understand something about what this verse is saying, because we have people saying, well, at the end of the 400 years, now God is going to do the judgments. So some people think, well, because this pandemic that's going on, that's a part of God's judgment. All right. But what did he say when it came to the 400 years? He brought them out after that. He showed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt and in the Red Sea and in the wilderness 40 years. So God did these things. He brought them out. After that, he showed wonders. He brought them out first, and then he showed these wonders and all of this stuff. So he already showed the judgments before he brought them out, because they were in the land of Egypt when the when all of the plagues and stuff started happening. But it says after he brought them out, he showed them more stuff. All right, let's go to Genesis 15, because again, people have, like I said, they have used. This is one of the scriptures that they have used. Let's go to Genesis 15. And again, that's Stephen's testimony. So we're going to go. Oh, we were supposed to read this. I'm sorry. I'm reading out of here and I'm supposed to be reading off the screen. But let's do it again. Acts 17. But when the time of the promise drew nigh, when God had sworn unto Abraham, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt, right? The entire 400-year prophecy spoken by God in Genesis 15, 12 through 16. So now let's go to Genesis 15. All right, because we got to get this clear for people, because people are still believing after the 400 years is over with, has been over with it for the past 2 years. They're still believing that this is the 400 years when it comes to America. The book is not talking about one specific country now. It was only talking about one specific country then. Let's keep on. Let's go ahead and read. So 15, we're going to read the dream that Stephen testified about when it came to Abraham. So verse 12. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he, this is the Lord speaking now. What we're about to read, the Lord is speaking from verses 13 to 16. So we're going to look at the entire prophecy. And he said unto him, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. They, not one individual, they. Let's read that again. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs. This is a people, not an individual first, but a people, a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. Not one brother serving another brother. All right. And they shall afflict them 400 years. All right. Let's read verse 14. And also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go forth. Okay, so after 14, this is where people in America have read this and thought it only applied to us. Why? Because in the early 1900s or whenever, they did not know slaves was taken everywhere. I'm quite sure somebody had an idea after reading this book. But for some odd reason, our forefathers here in America started saying, oh, this is applying to us. We're in that nation that took us. But see, we were scattered all over the place, like the Lord said. Let's keep it going. Verse 15. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation, this is the part no one really continues to read. That's a part of the prophecy. This is still the Lord speaking. In the fourth generation, they shall come hither again. They're coming back here. The very place where you're laying at right now, where I put you to sleep to speak to you, is the land of who? They shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So the Amorites, if you read before this, you see that, that Abraham kicked it with the Amorites in that land. So he's given him so the Lord has given him a dream and telling him what's going to happen to his people. And then when his people come out, he's going to bless them, and they're going to come right back here where you are sleeping at right now, Abraham or Abram. And they're going to come back, and they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. That's the entire prophecy. That is the entire prophecy. Let's look at it again. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know the surety of thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So this is when we were in Egypt. Because my question has always been, if it's 400 years in America, who are the Amorites that we are supposed to go back to? First of all, he brought us out. We saw the wonders. But in the fourth generation, he's supposed to come back here to wherever Amorite land is and kill the Amorites. But this is us in Egypt. These are the things that we were going through in Egypt, not in America. We've been in slavery in America, but the 400 years has been over with for 2 years. Let's go to Exodus 12 and do some more reading. Let's go to Exodus 12, verse 29. And we're going to show that this 400 years not only been passed, but it's been passed for thousands of years. It's not something that happened now. Some people, again, I still can't believe people are still saying that this applied here in America only. And these people know that we've been scattered around the world. That's what I don't understand. Our forefathers before that didn't really, I guess, gather or fathom that we were spread around the world. They probably read it. But when they read this part, oh, it got to be talking about us here in America. But they don't finish reading about the Amorites. You know, they just read verses, 14, 15, and that was it. The first 2 verses. So let's go to Exodus, and we're going to read verse 12 and start at verse 29. Because we're going to read when they came out. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, and from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on the throne unto the firstborn of the captive which was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up at night, and he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, and there was not a house where there was not one dead. People have taken this, they have taken these scriptures, and they're trying to apply it to now when it comes to the pandemic. When it comes to getting the poke or the sting, they want to say that's, some people are saying that's the cure, like blood on the blood post. No, the problem with the problem with then and now is that the Lord gave them instructions what to do to not get killed, and Moses told everybody else, and they did them. And the Israelites didn't have a person that died in their household. But now there are Israelites that are dying from the plague. That's totally different. And I don't understand why people don't see that. Quit using this here to try to say, well, see, here's the plague and all the stuff is happening after the 400 years. But these things that we're reading happened before the 400 years was over with. Then he showed them other great signs and wonders. Let's keep reading. We're going to 42. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up and get thee forth from among thy people. Behold, ye and the children of Israel, go and serve the Lord as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. So after all these plagues that happened, and the Lord had hardened Pharaoh's heart, he finally lets them go, and he says, man, bless me too. Let's keep reading. And the Egyptians were urging upon the people that they may send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we be all dead men. And the people took their dough, and before it was leavened, and kneading trolls, being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewelry of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. This is what the Lord said. They're going to come out with great substance. And this is actually what happened, according to what we read Moses write and what Stephen said. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. Here they go. They're coming out with great substance, like the Lord said. And the children of Israel sojourned from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men, besides children. So 600,000 men were numbered by the Lord that came out. The entire nation of Israel of men. Everybody was there. Verse 38. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds and very much cattle. So not only there were 600,000 men, their children, their women, there was a mixed multitude. The mixed multitude were not Israelites. These were mixed other nations, because let's understand something. At that time, Egypt was like New York or like America. But people want to take it and say, see, New York, that's what represents us in America, just like in Egypt. And you're right about that. But that's not the 400 years now. It was then. So there was a mixture of nations that were there for trade. And when all this stuff got taken down, they left with the Israelites. Let's keep moving. And they baked unleavened cakes and dough, which they brought forth out of the land of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry, neither had they prepared themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. Now I understand there's other books, I believe it's the Septuagint, that says that they dwelt in the land of Egypt and Canaan 430 years. Okay, either way it goes, when the end of the 400 years or the end of the 430 years ended, they all came out the same day. That's when they came out. So we could fight all day about, it was only 215 years that we were actually slaves. The whole thing is, we came out of the land of Egypt that very same day when it was over with, period. Verse 41, and it came to pass in the end of the 430 years, even the self same day, the very end of that 430 years, that very day, God brought us out. So if the end of the 400 years, according to 1619 to 2019, why are we still here as in captivity? That's something to think about. Why are we still here in captivity? Let's keep it moving. Even the self same day it came to pass that all of the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. Pay attention and read it closely, people. Pay attention and read it more carefully. This is when we were actually in Egypt. Some of you guys have probably seen these memes before, but this is when we were in Egypt. So let's go back to Genesis 15. All right, let's go back to Genesis 15, because we're trying to figure out, which is really easy, when did all of this stuff happen? So we're not going to, I forgot something. We're not going to go back to Genesis 15. We will, but not right now. Let's go to Psalms 105. Psalms 105. What we're going to do is put that back on here. So let's go to Psalms 105, because now remember, they came out that very same day, right? Psalms 105, and we're going to read about it again. Psalms 105, verse 23. Let me look on here. Verse 23. 105 and 23. Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. And he increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies. He turned their heart to hate his people. Whose heart did he turn to hate his people? The Egyptians. He turned their heart to hate his people, to deal subtly with his servants. This is what he told them. He told Abram when he was asleep in Genesis 15. He sent Moses, his servant, and Aaron, whom he had chosen. They showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. These were the wonders he was showing them before they came out. Remember? Let's skip down to verse 36. Excuse my allergies. He smote also all the firstborn in their land and the chief of all their strength. And he brought them forth also with silver and gold. And there was not one feeble person among their tribes. Not one person was sick. Everybody was strong. I know y'all see in the movies, old women can't hardly walk. According to this book, everybody was cool. That's why they was walking up out of there. Egypt was glad when they departed, and the fear of them fell upon them. Let's skip down to verse 42. For he remembered his holy promise. Didn't we read that with Stephen? Didn't Stephen say, when he remembered the promise? For he remembered his holy promise, and Abraham his servant, and he brought forth his people with joy, and his chosen with gladness, and he gave them lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labor of the people, that they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Praise ye the Lord. See, when our forefathers was to take over the land of Canaan, Canaanites had already set up good thing. This is why it's called the land of milk and honey. That's exactly why it's called the land of milk and honey, because it was plenty food, plenty grass. They had it good. And why? Because the Lord said himself, this is my land. That's what the Lord said. Let's go to Deuteronomy 16. We're going to read verse 1. Deuteronomy 16 and 1. The Lord in the book, when you read, you find out that the Lord talk about that is his land. And what he's doing is he's giving it as an inheritance unto Abraham and Israel. We're going to get into that as well too. What did I say? Deuteronomy 16 and 1. Observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt by night. So when he brought us out, it was dark outside. Remember we read earlier, it says, and at midnight they came and the Lord came at midnight and started smoting on the firstborn. That day, the next, which is now, see, some people got a problem with this. That night, remember, that's when the Passover started. They had the Passover before the angel came at midnight. But when the morning came, it's still the same day. So this is when it's still Passover, and they were baking and trying to get everything together because they were getting out of there at night the next day, for those that understand. So let's go now back to Genesis. Let's go back to Genesis 15. Excuse me. Let's go back to Genesis 15 now. And we can read 15. But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again, for the iniquity for the Amorites is not yet full. But he's saying the Amorites, we're still trying to figure out. I'm still trying to figure out, really, if the 400 years is over with here in America, we should not only be gone, but we should be going back to kill some Amorites off back here. All right, because remember, the dream was in the land of the Amorites, and the Lord said they're going to come back here and deal with the Amorites. Now let's finish reading Genesis 15, 16 through 22. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, and the iniquity of the Amorites is yet not full. So that's the end of the prophecy now. So now we're just going to keep reading till the Lord speaks again. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was yet dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day he got this dream and vision, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river of the Euphrates. Let me see. I do believe that's my next one. Let me make sure. And it sure is. We have to get an understanding, my Hebrew brothers. Let me see if it's gonna come up. If I can show it on. Let me see. Okay. It says again, from the river Egypt, the great river, the river Euphrates. So the Nile is right here, right? And the Euphrates is right here. But this is Abraham's inheritance, not the Israelites' inheritance. Israel's inheritance is right here in Israel, not all this land. Abraham had way more than just one son. Remember, the Lord is going to bless Abraham's seed. We understand that the seed, when it comes to Christ to save the world, we understand that. But when it came to Israel, their land is right here. The rest of this land is going to be Abraham's sons. Just want people to understand that. That's the rest of Abraham's sons. All right. So let's keep on reading. Down to verse 22. The Kenites, the Kenizzites, and I can never say the Cadmonites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. This is the land that he's giving them. These people got the land right now, but he's telling them all this land is going to be yours from these two rivers. All right. Now, let's find out, because we see that the We see that the Amorites are there, right? But he said that we were going back to kill off the Amorites, correct? Well, let's find out who the Amorites are, because evidently they're not here in America. Remember, we're sticking to this prophecy. Who are the Amorites and where did they live? So let's go to Genesis 10 and find out who the Amorites are. Genesis 10, let's read verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. So after the flood, we're dealing with one bloodline, not one bloodline, one nation that we're dealing with through one bloodline. Let's go down to verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. So Noah had Ham, and Ham had 4 sons. One of his sons was Cush, that's the Ethiopians, Mizraim, the Egyptians, Put, which is the Libyans, and Canaan, who are the Canaanites. All right, let's skip down to verse 15. And Canaan, this is one of Ham's sons, Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgashite. So there's the Amorite again. So we know who the Amorites are. They are not only Canaanites, but they're Hamites. All right. Let's move on to, y'all excuse me, to Amos. Oh, wait a minute. Did we finish reading that? Hold on a second. No, we didn't finish. Skip down to verse 20. These are the sons of Ham after their families, after their tongues, and in their countries, and in their nations. All right. So here in Genesis 10, it gives you 3 bloodlines that's only on the whole planet. But many nations came from those 3 bloodlines. You're either a Gentile, which is the sons of Japheth. You're either a Shemite, which is the sons of Shem, or you're a Hamite, which is the sons of Ham. But you may be something is like Israelites are actually Shemites. Understand? Their nation is Israel, but their bloodline comes from Shem, which comes from Noah, which comes from Adam. So let's go now and move on, because we're trying to figure out who are the Amorites and where did they live. So let's go to Amos 2, something that the Lord said to Israel. Excuse me again. Something that the Lord has said to Israel because they were being naughty. But the Lord had said something. We're going to tie this in to the Amorites, okay? Because remember, he said, you're going to come back here and deal with these Amorites because their iniquity is not yet full. That's what he said to Abraham about the children of Israel. Amos 2, and we're starting at verse 9. Yet I destroyed the Amorite before them. Wait a minute. This is the Lord speaking through Amos. Yet destroyed I the Amorite before them, whose height was like the heights of the cedars. These were some giants. Not Nephilim. These were just some tall brothers. Who the height was like of the cedars, and he was strong as the oak. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above and his roots from beneath. Also I brought you up from the land of Egypt and led you 40 years through the wilderness to possess the land of the Amorites. So again, now this prophet is telling what happened in the past, just like Stephen was telling what happened in the past. Not what's going to happen in the future. Now, to show what happened in the past, because remember he said he destroyed the Amorites, right? Well, let's move on and find out when it comes to these Amorites. Israel versus the Amorites. Let's go. We already read Amos 2, so let's go to Numbers 21, and we're going to read there. Numbers 21. So we got two witnesses now. One is actually the Lord saying that he destroyed the Amorites. And then we got Stephen saying, hey, we destroyed the Amorites. All right. So let's go. I think I said that wrong. I don't think it was Stephen. No, Stephen was talking about the whole past when it came to Israel. But the Lord said right there through the prophet Amos that he destroyed the Amorites. All right. So let's go back to Numbers and read when that actually happened. Because again, the question is, who were the Amorites? Where did they live? And according to the prophecy of the Lord, it says, you shall come back here after you get out of Egypt for 400 years. Chapter 21. And we're going to start reading at verse 10. Chapter 21 and verse 10. And the children of Israel forward and pitched in Oboth. And they journeyed from Oboth and pitched in Ibrium. And in the wilderness which is before Moab, toward the sun rising. From thence they removed and pitched in the valley of Zared, I guess. And let me see, where are we still moving to? 13. And thence they removed and pitched on the other side of Arnon, which is in the wilderness that cometh out of the coast of the Amorites. For Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. So the Israelites are there. They're pitched there now, right? Let's skip down to verse 21. And Israel sent messages unto the Sihon king of the Amorites, saying, let me pass through the land. We will not turn into the fields or into the vineyards. We will not drink of the waters of the well, but we will go along by the king's highway. But, until we be past thy borders. And King Sihon said not to suffer Israel to and Sihon would not suffer Israel to pass through his border. But Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel unto the wilderness, and he came to Jahaz and fought against Israel. Now, now I see why the iniquity of the Amorites was now full. Why? Because Israel just wanted to pass through. Our ancestors didn't want no food, no water. They weren't going to mess with nothing. They just needed to pass through. And this dude is like, no, we about to go to war with these cats. Is that wicked? You couldn't send troops just to watch and make sure that they don't do what they said, that, keep their promise. No, we're going to go out and fight against them. So this is how wicked these Amorites were. Verse 24. And Israel smote him with the edge of the sword, and possessed his land from Arnon to Jabbok, even unto the children of Ammon, for the border of the children of Ammon was strong. And Israel took all these cities and dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon and in all the villages thereof. This is what Israel did. But we read in Amos that this is what the Lord did, because these guys was like the cedar trees and strong as oak. This is what we read. So to be honest with you, Israel couldn't have handled them by themselves without the Lord. Israel couldn't have done that by itself. That's why even unto this day, when I hear, people talking about, man, we could take over, we could do this, I'm like, please, the Lord ain't gonna let you do it. When the Lord wants you to take over or would do something, he's going to provide the strength for you, not you. But that's another lesson. Let's go to Matthew. Let's go to Matthew 1. So we just showed when according to the prophecy, when it comes to Genesis 15, all of this happened in Egypt, and they came back and slaughtered the Amorites. Thus saith the Lord. But people today are still saying, no, that applies to us here in America. Because some cats just, they don't understand. Listen, if you believe something that a false prophet said, and you see it didn't come to pass, and you've been teaching it, the best thing to do is just tell people, I was wrong. I was totally wrong. I learned this. You ain't got to give names, but I learned this from someone else, and I thought it was right, but I was wrong. I think more people would understand you and forgive you if you just, I'm wrong. I was wrong about something. I thought it was this because that's what I was taught, but I was wrong. But if you continue to say, no, that's the 400 years and you hating on me and all this other, I'm like, come on, man, that doesn't make sense. It makes it look worse, really. But let's read Matthew 1, because I want to show where this took place. Matthew 1 verses 1 and 2. This is the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac, Isaac begot Jacob, Jacob begot Judas, Judas begot his brethren. Now let's skip down to verse 17. So all these generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. And from David until the carrying away into Babylon are 14 generations. And from the carrying away into Babylon unto Christ are 14 generations. So we see 42 generations up here, right? So you got Abraham. I hope you can see it on the screen, my little arrow right there. You got Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah. We know Judah and them went in. Jacob and Judah and them went into the land of Egypt. Perez, Hezron, and Ram, Aminadab. So somewhere between, I would say, between Perez and Aminadab, possibly Nahshon, but somewhere between here is the 4th generation. Again, let's read verse 17 so you can get what I'm talking about. So all the generations of Abraham to David are 14 generations. So from Abraham to David down here at the bottom in Bathsheba are 14 generations. But the Lord gave Abraham this dream and said in the 4th generation. So when they came out, we know it wasn't Judah and them, because that's 4 generations from him. So that's why I'm starting here at Perez or Hezron. So one of these is the 4 generations that went back into the land of the Amorites and took over everything, according to the promise that the Lord said was going to happen. So when it comes to Genesis 15, beloved, That happened already. It did not happen in America. 1619 to 2019 was the 400 years everybody kept saying, and we're still here 2 years later, going through plagues and dying. So obviously this isn't the 400 years. It's not. Let's go. Oh, why you jump all the way back there? Let's go to here. I see why I jumped back there. I hit the wrong button. Okay. So let's go to here. Let's do some reading, some more reading, all right? Let's deal with us. All right? Let's go to Hosea 13. And we're going to deal with us because that 400 years has already way been passed. But, you know, people want to hang on to it to try to, I guess, uplift people or cover up their mistake. You know, and this isn't a personal shot at any individual. This is at everybody that's been teaching this 400 years was up in 2019. Still love you, but because people have, this isn't the first time people have said this in America. And what happens is when it doesn't happen, people think that the Israelites are full of it, and then they go to Hotepin or they go to being a nation of Islam. Matter of fact, the NOI was saying this stuff too when the Israelites were saying it back in the day. You know, or they get into this African spirituality and start dealing with all other types of spirits because we didn't go home like they said we were going to do. Well, that doesn't mean we were going home. Yes, it does, because you said that, saying that this is the prophecy of America, but you don't realize you said that. So let's go to Hosea 13, and let's start reading at verse 4. Yet I am the Lord thy God from the land of Egypt, and thou shalt know no God but me, for there is no Savior besides me. I did know thee in the wilderness and in the land of the great drought, and that's Egypt, right? According to their pasture, so were they filled. They were filled. Their heart was exalted. Therefore have they forgotten me. So when he brought us into the land of the Amorites, we started forgetting about him because he was taking care of us, right? Therefore I will be unto them as a lion. Now when you read the book of Daniel, these are the things that he said he's going to be as toward us. Well, what does this mean as far as us today? Therefore I will be unto them as a lion. That's the Babylonian Empire. As a leopard. That's the Greek Empire. By the way, I will observe them. I will meet them as a bear. That's the Medo-Persian Empire. That is bereaved of her whelps. And I will rend call of their heart, and there will I devour them like a lion. And the wild beasts shall tear them. But he said, I will devour them like a lion. That's the fourth beast that devours the whole entire earth and stamps it in pieces, right? That's the Roman Empire. The Lord is still coming at us for our iniquity. He's not. Remember the original children of Egypt. The children of Israel that was in Egypt did nothing wrong. They didn't do nothing wrong. The Lord said, this is what I'm going to do to these people, and then I'm going to bring them out in great substance. We're in the situation we're in is because we did the Lord wrong. That's the difference between 400 years then and 500 something years now in America only. And so he said he's going to come at us like these beasts, which are the nations. This is why you don't see me talking about the white man did this and the white. I know what the white man did, but the Lord has woken me up and other people to understand the Lord's coming to us through these people. I will meet them as a, okay, let me see. I read that already. Verse 9. Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself. Again, Israel, we have destroyed ourselves. Because we had the Lord on our side. But we decided we don't want to deal with him no more. Because we good, we cool, we Gucci. And so now he's saying, Israel, that has destroyed thyself. But however, in his mercy and grace, and that how much he loves us, he says here, but in me is thine help. This is what thus saith the Lord. In me is thy help. Not in yourselves. In me. You want to get out of this situation that I allowed you to go into because of yourself? Come to me. I'll take you out of it. But that's not what we want to do. We want to fight. So he's been coming at us as all these he's been coming at us as all these animals, which are the different nations, empires within the Gentile dynasty. 70 AD was like the final straw. Like, okay, these cats, they just they want to do what they want to do. Let's go do some more reading. Let's do some more reading. Let's go to Luke 19. Hopefully I get all this out today, because usually this takes 2 parts, and that's why I'm rushing. So let's go to Luke 19. Because now we are going to go into the New Testament and read predictions or prophecies according to Christ. Luke 21. All right, because we was already told in the past too, according through what Moses wrote down, that Christ told Moses was going to happen to us if we turn away from him. So let's look. Luke 19:41. Luke 19, not that one. Luke 19:41. And when he came near, he beheld the city and wept over it. Christ is weeping over the city, right? So this is the second time I've ever seen Christ cry. After this, it was when he was in Gethsemane and really didn't want to die. But he's wept over the city, saying, if thou hadst known, even thou, at least in, if thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace. If you just would have kept my commandments, y'all would be so cool, right? But now they are hid from thine eyes. Over here, I got something for you, but I'm not even going to show you now, because you that horrible, Israel. For the day shall come upon thee that thy enemy shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round, cast thee round and keep thee on every side, and shall say and lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. Now let's remember, some people want to say, well, this was talking about the Greeks and the Assyrians, but this is Christ during the Roman Empire, after the Greeks and Assyrians. This is what he said. He's crying over Jerusalem. He's weeping over the city because he knows it's about to be destroyed. And it happened. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. He told us about this, man. Because people keep thinking Moses came up with this stuff by himself. No, Moses can't see the future by himself. Christ is the one that told him this stuff. Deuteronomy 28. And we're going to start reading at verse 15. And while we're reading at 15, I'm going to leave it there. Deuteronomy 28, and we're going to start reading at 15. Now, these are the blessings and the curses. You can read the whole chapter on your own, but we're going to deal with the curses. I've dealt with the blessings before, but that's not what we're dealing with now, because we're still talking about this so-called 400-year prophecy that's only supposed to apply in America. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Right? Skip down to verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. And there shall be no might in thy hand. Let's remember, this is after they came out of the land of Egypt for 400 years. So now Christ is like, I'm giving you a warning. Don't cross me. All right? Because these are the things that's going to happen to you. Let's skip down to verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. That's slavery. Let's skip down to verse 63. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you? The Lord, you mean to tell me the Lord is going to rejoice over destroying us? Let's keep reading. And to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked off the land whither thou goest to possess it. See, now they're on the land. But he's telling them, now that you're on this land, if you cross me, I'm going to take you off the land. Skip down to verse 68. The Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And yet ye shall be sold unto your enemies. You shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, not servants, slaves. And no man shall buy you. No man is going to buy you out of this situation. And that's what we keep thinking today. I could buy myself out of captivity. If you could, where are you going? You can't go back to the land of Israel because they ain't gonna let you. Unless you on their terms. Let's keep it moving. That's what thus saith the Lord, right? The Lord is the one that said that he was going to send us around the world in ships, because that's what Egypt means, house of bondage. Doesn't mean he sent us right back to the literal land of Egypt. He said he's going to do it on slave ships. You could easily walk to Egypt. Before they built the Suez Canal, he could have took us right out of Jerusalem and walked us right into Egypt again. But he said he's going to do it on ships. And that's what we're going to show. So here, from the book Babylon and Timbuktu, I'm not going to read it. You can read it for yourself. He's steadily telling us this is what actually happened to us. Let's go to, sorry about that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 4 and read exactly what thus saith the Lord. So he said this is going to happen, and it actually happened. How do you think we got scattered around the world? Deuteronomy 4, and we're going to read verse 26. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 26. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land where unto ye go over Jordan to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, not send you just to America for 400 years, which we're going to still deal with. And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you. But here's the thing. He couldn't destroy you completely, because if he did, he'd break his promise to Abraham. Yes, sir. So he always had to leave a little seed or something, because he made a promise to Abraham. Remember, when he got upset with all of us, he wanted to wipe everybody off the face of the earth except Moses. He would have still kept his promise to Abraham by saving at least one Israelite, and that would have been Moses. Let's read verse 28. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, and which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. So he's telling us, you don't serve me, you will serve these other gods. And that's what we're dealing with even unto this day. We're dealing with Sunday Christianity. We're dealing with being Hoteppers, with Kemet. We're dealing, I'm sorry, my brothers, we're dealing with a lot of Nation of Islams that's serving another God. There's only one God and there's only one way, and that's through the Messiah Christ, who some people call Jesus or Yahushua, whatever. That's the only way. There aren't many ways to get to salvation. There's only one. That's why the book also says, wide is the gate of destruction. And a lot of people going to go through it. I'm paraphrasing. But straight is the gate to salvation. And there's only one way through Christ. But verse 29. But if from thence thou shalt seek the Lord thy God, thou shalt find him, if thou shalt seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul, when thou art in tribulation. And all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days. That's talking about us. The Lord is telling Moses to tell the children of Israel to tell us something. If thou turn unto the Lord and shall be obedient unto his voice, for the Lord thy God is merciful God. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he swear unto thee. This is what thus saith the Lord. But we gonna try to skip through some of these memes so I could show you. So when it came to 70 AD, this is what happened to us. We were taken away. How were we taken away? In chains. We were taken away in chains. We were put on ships, us and our sisters, and made slaves. Because we did not want to do what thus saith the Lord. And again, the suffering came down on the children. And we're still the children. And we're still sinning to where these things are still happening even today. Don't think slavery ever stopped. Maybe here in America, but even here in America, I think it was 1969, there was a plantation down south where them people just found out 100 years after so-called slavery was over with that they were free. How did they keep that a secret from people for 100-something years? That family had to be a part of it. No, we can't let them know that they free. And the family had to keep it going for generation after generation after generation. My question is, did that family get charged? Because it's supposed to be illegal, right? So let me show you what happened. This map is of the Assyrian when it came to us leaving after the Assyrian Empire, all right? And this is the northern kingdom. However, the southern kingdom did the same thing. So when it came to the northern kingdom and the Babylonians was taken over, they started fleeing. They came right here into Egypt and they took these routes into West Africa. That's why you have the Yoruba, you have the Bantu, you have the Igbo, the Ashanti. All these cats in West Africa is us. Because this is the route they took to get there. I have another map that shows, I don't think I put it on here, how they went through the Horn and then came around like this. But why did they do that? Why didn't they just go back in Egypt or stay in this whole area? Because this land belonged to the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans. They already messed up the Canaanites, and that's why we were in that land. But the original Hamites only occupied this land. Nobody occupied this part of the land. A land where no man has occupied. And if you ask me, for those to read the Apocrypha, this is the land of Ashtoreth. Because why? Let's go back. They left here, the Assyrian northern tribes, and came here. That's why. Yeah, that deserves a sip. And I know I haven't been sipping because I'm trying to get through this. But again, this is what the original Africans or the Hamites occupied, and we fled into places that no man occupied. Not only that, but from here they fled into the rest of Africa, South Africa. These are the Bantu or the Bantu. I hope I ain't saying it wrong to my brothers and sisters over there. But after we fled, we ran into West Africa. But here come them Hamites, here come them Gentiles, and we kept going further and further south. Why? Because even our ancestors knew anytime we in trouble, white folks come after us, we run into Africa and blend in with those cats. But then we got a problem with those cats because they know that we're not them. So they kept fleeing further and further south. All right. That's why this map at one time was called Negro Land. Negro means black in Spanish. And this is what the Spaniards called Negro Land before the English came. The Portuguese and the Spanish, but we're going to keep it moving. Now, if you totally believe, let me see, I should get that out the way. Hold on. Because I actually want you guys to see the full thing. All right, hold on a second, people. So I'm going to move that out the way. All right. The Arabic slave trade and the role of Islam in African slavery. See, we've been taught over here in America that it was just the English and that, you know, had slaves and brought us over here. And that's why we believe we've been here for 400 years from 1619. But now it's 402, right? The Arabs were the first ones to really start the whole thing. I can go and read about Joseph, you know, and the Ishmaelites. But we're not going to go there because I'm trying to press for time. So let's go to here, slavery in Africa before European arrival. Before the Europeans came, the Ishmaelites or the Arabs were the ones that had us in slavery. And they took us from the east coast of Africa. Because remember, here, look at the arrow. Right here, we fled here, and we also fled here. I think I got that one map too. I don't see it yet, but we're going to see that there were ones that came from Assyria, and they came this way down the Saudi Arabian coast, and then they fled down the east coast of Africa too. So we fled into all this land in Africa, but the Ishmaelites were the first ones to start plucking us off of this land and taking us back to India and Pakistan and the rest of the world. It wasn't just America, people. These are Africans who became Indians. I have a video, but I can't play it because I'll get tagged. All right, I'll get a strike. But in India, African tribe in India, they're black. They look like us. You go on YouTube, type this name in, cities. All right. And you will see your brothers and sisters in Africa. I mean, in India. You will see them, my brothers. How come it's not 400 years there? They even know. If I played that video, the leader even knew they've been there since 1441, I think he said. And that's a tradition that all of them, they knew. Since 1441, they've been there. That's way before 1619, according to the prophecy. Here's the hidden faces. This is why you don't really see our brothers and sisters around the world, because you see this side. You see the women of India here. You see the women of Brazil here. You see the women of, the Philippines here. But these are in them same countries, and you don't see them. They don't show them. They are his hidden ones. Ooh. They are his hidden ones. Their prophecies don't lie. It's not lying. Here's the caste system that's in India. The same Jim Crow and the same apartheid thing that we had in America and in Africa. In India, they have a caste system too. These people here cannot marry down without permission. And nobody can marry up without permission. You have to stay in your class. Guess where Israel is at? Right here. The Dalit. The untouchables. Do all the lower order work subordinate to all the rest of these people here. So this would be Israel, the dark skins. But as you go up and up, you get lighter and lighter. That's the system that's in India. The caste system. Modern day. This is the same thing. Very poor. Yeah, I'm doing it wrong. The very poor, the middle, the rich, very rich. It's almost the same thing that's happening here. But at least there, but it's based off skin color there too. So if you're very light and you want to marry somebody that's dark, you got to get permission. And if your family or that class say you can't do it, you can't do it at all. Here's the untouchables down here at the bottom. That means you can't marry them at all. Like within these four classes, you have to get permission to marry each other. But here, you cannot marry none of them. That's our brothers and sisters in India and Pakistan. Hidden faces of the Philippines. How often do you see this when it comes to being people from the Philippines? You don't. You see lighter persons. These are our brothers and sisters who were sent around the world as slaves. So how come this 400 years is not applying to them, just us in America? Come on. Because this is what we've been shown. Years before 2019 came up. 400 years almost up. And then they read this and they stop. They don't read the rest of the prophecy. Now people think we full of it. Thank God not a lot of people left. But because this is still being talked about like it's still the prophecy, that's why I'm doing this lesson to show again it's not here in America. Let's go through this timeline. Slavery timeline, 1400 to 1500. You can see right here. You can go to this right here. I cannot pronounce it. It's bridechancycarry.com. This is where you could, the source is going to show us this slavery timeline. All right. Now that that's in the way, I can't read it. All right, let me do something. I need another monitor. Yeah. He keep telling me I need another monitor. Southern and Eastern Europe, classical style slavery remained a normal part of the society, and economy trade across the Mediterranean and the Atlantic seaboard meant that African slaves began to appear in Italy, Spain, southern France, and Portugal well before the discovery of the New World in 1492. So you mean to tell me that they were taking us as slaves into Europe way before 1492? So when does the 400 years start in Europe? From about the 8th century onward, an Arab-run slave trade was flourished, with much of this activity taking place in East Africa, which I showed you, Arabia, and the Indian Ocean. This is before we always focus on the Atlantic slave trade, but there was a slave trade in the Indian Ocean as well, and in the Mediterranean Sea of us, cargo. 1441, start of the European slave trading in Africa. The Portuguese captains, I can't say his name, their names, captured 12 Africans in Cabo Branco, that's modern Martinia, and take them to Portugal as slaves. So this is when they started getting us from the coast of Africa, and I believe Martinia is an island, and they took them back to Portugal. This started in 1441. Before this, the Arabs were taking us and shipping us off as slaves. Then the Europeans found out about it, and they got in on it too. We're not going to read all this, just what I got highlighted. January 1454, Post Nicholas, I keep forgetting Roman numerals, issues Romantis Pontifex, a bull granting the Portuguese a perpetual monopoly in trade with Africa. Nevertheless, Spanish traders began to bring slaves from Africa to Spain. So the Pope gave a perpetual monopoly to Portugal, but Spain was like, man, forget what you talking about. We going too. 1470s. Despite papal's opposition, Spanish merchants began to trade in large numbers of slaves in the 1470s. When did the 400 years start for them? Stop focusing on America only. These are your people, Israel. These are our people. 1481, Portuguese embassy to court the King Edward of England includes with the English government agreeing not to enter the slave trade against the wishes of many English slave traders. England wanted to get in, but they was having problems. 1483. Diego Chao, I guess, discovers the Congo River. The region is later a majority source of slaves. So now in 1483, somebody found out about the Congo River and saw all these Hebrews. And it became what? The region is later the majority source of slaves. The Lord was not playing. You may flee from Israel, but I'm going to get you over there in West Africa where you fled to. You think you can run away from me? That's thus saith the Lord. Joao Alfonso Averio makes contact with the kingdom of the city of Benin. Oh, wait a minute. We just did a lesson. On Israel's dirty laundry. And even to this day, some people are still like, nah, man, that wasn't us. What does this say right here? This dude made a contact with the kingdom and the city of Benin. 1487 to 88. Bartolomeo Diaz rounds the Cape of Good Hope and explores the Indian Ocean and the East African coast. So now the English, or the Spanish, I believe here, or the Portuguese, the Europeans, let me put it that way. Now the Europeans go below South Africa from the Cape and they get to the East Coast. More territory. 1492, Columbus becomes the first European since the Viking era to discover the New World, setting foot on an unidentified island named San Salvador, modern Bahamas. Now he comes over here in 1492, right? Even though the Vikings were here first and the original Egyptians. Go look up why was there cocaine discovered in the Egyptian mummies? That's because the Egyptians were here first, even before the Vikings. But some people don't want to believe that either. All right. And this can also explain why Columbus came and people say, well, he said he saw black folks. Yeah, because the Egyptians was here 1,000 years before these guys came. But let's keep it moving. October 1492, Christopher Columbus becomes the first European since the I read that already. So let's keep it moving. Now remember, Christopher Columbus came in 1492 here into the Americas, right? Let's see what happened in 1502. Juan de Cordoba of Seville becomes the first merchant we can identify to send an African slave to the New World. Cordoba, like the merchants, is permitted by the Spanish authorities to send only one slave. Others send 2 or 3. So the first slave ship, whose name was not Jesus, got here in 1502. According to the Spanish, not the English, because the English didn't want to teach this in the schools. 1509, Columbus' son Diego Colon becomes the governor of the new Spanish Empire in the Caribbean. He soon complains that Native American slaves do not work hard enough. And they don't. Why? Because they're not Israelites. The Lord made sure he kept the strength with us to punish us as slaves. That's why. These original Native Americans were not good working like this. After they complained, January 1510, the start of the systematic transport of African slaves to the New World. King Ferdinand of Spain authorizes a shipment of 50 African slaves to be sent to Santo Domingo. So for anybody wants to say, well, see, he only brought, in 1502, he only brought one or maybe two slaves with him. That's why 1619 still starts the beginning of 400 years. Well, according to the Spanish records, January 1510, they brought 50 African slaves to be sent to Santo Domingo. That's still the New World. Period. April 1513, Juan whatever de Leon, man, y'all think I be messing up Hebrew names, man, becomes the first European to reach the coast of what is now the United States, modern Florida. 1513, not 1619. You can read all of this on this website. Let's continue moving on. Again, let's continue moving on. What's going on? Somebody don't want me to do this. Hold on, y'all. Okay, let's just do it like this. All right. August 1518, insignificant escalation of slaves. Charles, whatever, grants his Flemish courtier, Lorenzo de Gerdove, permission to import 4,000 African slaves into New Spain. From his points onward, thousands of slaves are sent to the New World each year. In 1518, not 1619, this is 100-something years before that. 1518. I know this is blowing your mind. I know it is. And I know you're probably acting like this while you're thinking. This is what the book is saying. This is what the book is telling us is not 400 years. And these archives is telling us it wasn't 400 years. 1522, a major slave rebellion breaks out on the island of Hispaniola. This was the first significant uprising of African slaves. After this, slave resistance becomes widespread and uprising common. You know why the English didn't want to talk about this? Because we were rebelling. That's why. Unfortunately, it was on an island where we couldn't get back home. 1524, 300 African slaves are taken to Cuba to work the gold mines. In 1524, 1526, I can't say their names again, become the first Germans we have known to become involved in the slave trade. So now Germany gets into it, right? 1527, earliest records of sugar production in Jamaica, later a major sugar producing region of the British Empire. Sugar production is rapidly expanded throughout the Caribbean region at this time, with the mills almost exclusively worked by African slaves. In 1527, let's keep it moving. 1513, Juan de la Barra of Seville, merchant, begins transporting slaves directly from Africa to the New World. Before this, slaves had normally passed through Europe first. His lead is quickly followed by other slave traders. So they were already taking us to Europe, and then they would come to America. But this guy figured out, hey, let's go this way and get them straight to Americas. 1532. Martim Alfonso de Souza founds the first Portuguese colony in Brazil at Salventes. Sugar production begins also. When? Remember, we're talking about the Americas, not America of today. May 1539. Hernando de Soto, following reports of I can't say these names, lands on the coast of Florida of about 1,200 men in his expedition. Found 50 were African slaves after exploring modern Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and South Carolina. Expedition ended in disaster. If it ended in disaster, where did them 50 African slaves go? See, this was the problem that the Spanish kept having. They were having revolts, and what we were doing is running away and mixing with the Native Americans. That's why you see some people that are blended. We're going to get in there a little later. We may not do thanksgimonies, but I'm trying to get this done so people can understand in one sitting. All right. September 1541. We still have not gotten to 1619. On his third voyage to Canada, Jacques Cartier, Jacques Cartier establishes the first French colony in the New World in Charlesbourg Royal, close to modern Quebec. All right, but in 1555, Queen Mary of England, under pressure of the Spanish, forbids English involvement in Guinea. Now, what's going on now is that the Spanish and the French, they've been keeping England out of this. They don't want England to get a part of it. Even the Germans got in on this, right? So and the French too. None of them wanted England to be a part of this. This is why there was a lot of wars going on too, because they wanted to be a part of it too. But this is before 1619. October 1562. John Hawkins of Plymouth becomes the first English sailor that we know about to have tamed African slaves. English sailor. See how it says right here, 1562? Approximately 300 of them in Sierra Leone for sale in the West Indies. Hawkins traded the slaves illegally with the Spanish colonies, but the trip was profitable and others followed. These contributed to increasing tensions between England and Spain, as well as initiating the English slave trade. Hawkins also introduced both of the potato and the tobacco to England. Here's the English now. And they were doing it illegally because Spain, France, all the rest of Europe was like, no, we don't want you in on this. Let's keep it moving. July 1585. The first English colony in the New World is established at, I can never say this name, so those in North Carolina, you could tease me. I'm saying Roanoke Island. I don't know how to say it. Modern North Carolina. Organized by Sir Walter Raleigh and governed by Ralph Lane. It was not as successful, and the colonists withdrew in June 1586. Now this is 1585. This is the first English colony that failed. This is why they keep telling you about 1619, because the first English colony failed. Nobody wants to talk about their failures. They always want to talk about their success. July 1587, the second English colony is founded at Roanoke Island. Again, organized by Sir Walter Raleigh when it was revisited by the English ships in August 1590. It has vanished without a trace. Again, they tried again at the same spot. What is that? 2 years later, a year later, because in 1586 it said everybody left. So in 1587 they tried it again. This is the English, and it failed. 1601, the Jesuits build their first sugar mill in Brazil. So wait a minute, we still got slaves going over to Brazil. That's a part of the Americas. See, these are the things that our forefathers in the early 1900s just didn't see. Thank God for the internet. They didn't see or read these things. They probably weren't even available at the time. 1607. Now this is where it gets tricky, because it says Jamestown, the first permanent British colony in North America, is founded in modern Virginia. And I've been known about this. That Jamestown was actually the first company in 1607. Some people say 1609. But that's 10 years before 1619, right? Let's keep it moving. Now this is from ABC News. All right. At least 10 million Africans were enslaved and transported to Europe and the Americas between the 15th and 19th centuries as part of the Atlantic slave trade. But brutal trade was spurred by the strong demand for labor on the plantations of the Americas. Not America, the Americas. Eventually, it became an integral part of the international trading system in which Europeans and Northern Americans exchanged merchandise for human cargo along Africa's western and west central Atlantic coast. This is ABC News, people, on their website. That's why I had to get this. 1502, first reported African slaves in the New World. That was by the Spanish. Not the Portuguese, not the English, not the Dutch, the Spanish in 1502. This is why there's a book out here that you could read that says 1518 to 1865. Cargoes, the Atlantic slave trade. Notice it does not say 1619. Because 1619 was taught in the schools. We're going to look at a book called Black Indians. I recommend everybody to get this book and read it. All right. The book is called Black Indians. We're going to keep it moving. It began with Columbus. I'm only going to read what I have highlighted in my book. The Christopher Columbus, whose unique seamanship and courage, y'all got to excuse me, the lights are so bright I can't see the screen that well, and courage had opened the Americas to European penetration and also began the transatlantic slave trade. He started by shipping 10 chained Arawak men and women to Seville, Spain. So when he got here, he took some Native Americans, not Hebrews. He took some Native Americans back to Spain. But the problem that the Europeans had with the Native Americans here is they couldn't work as good and they would die off from diseases. This is why they turned their, well, I think I'm going ahead. Let me keep reading. Las Casas led a determined effort to halt Indian bondage. He pointed out that the Indians died off by the thousands from slavery and European diseases. So just as quick as they got these guys, they died. Forced labor in Spanish mines in the Americas was so harsh that the average worker died before he was 26. To meet their need for more laborers, Europeans looked next to Africa, because what they had here in the Americas was not good enough. They already knew about the slave trade that the Arabs were doing. Well, let's go down there and get us some of them. The strongest sons and daughters of Africa were seized in their homes or fields or purchased from local traders. They were seized in their homes. How were they seized in their homes? They They were seized in their homes, people. So did the Gentiles come into their homes and take them? Did the Hamites come into their homes and take them? No. Israel was selling Israel, and they went into these people's homes that they trusted and sold them off. This is our dirty laundry. They were packed in cargo ships shipped across the Atlantic. Thomas Brannigan, a Dublin youth who for many years served as a seaman aboard slave ships, described the boarding issue. Let's pay attention to what this young man wrote about Israelites. Children were torn from their distracted parents. Parents from their screaming children, wives from their frantic husbands, husbands from their violated wives, brothers from their loving sisters, sisters from their affectionate brothers. See them collected in flocks like a herd of swine driven into the ships. They cry, they struggle, they resist, but all in vain. No eye pities, no hand helps. You can't tell me that that's not Deuteronomy 28 and 68. This is a young dude that's just describing what's going on and probably has never read the book of Deuteronomy. But the Lord is the one that said this was going to happen. And he's describing Deuteronomy 28 to the T, especially with the slave ships. Let's keep it moving. First Africans brought to the New World by now. Again, here's my third one. Here's my third source, or reference, if you will. First Africans brought to the New World by European slave traders, by European slavers, probably arrived in April 1502. This is, again, remember, I used the website that you can go to. I showed you on ABC News, and now the Book of Black Indians is saying the same thing. 1502, aboarded the ship that brought the new governor to Hispaniola. Nicolas de Ovando. Soon after they landed, some Africans escaped into the woods and found a new home amongst the Native Americans, not amongst the Hebrews, their brothers, amongst the Native Americans. Later that year, Governor Ovando sent a request to King Ferdinand that no more Africans be sent to the Americas. His reason was simple. They fled amongst the Indians and taught them bad customs and never could be captured. They so-called taught them bad customs according to you. So those bad customs, like, this is why they can never be captured. They learned how to avoid you. That's why. Let's keep it moving. In the century following Columbus' landing, millions of Native Americans died from the combination of European diseases, harsh treatment, and murder. Africans took their places. And in the mines, so now remember, the Native Americans, they were dying off from diseases and harsh treatment and even murder. So what did the Europeans do now? Africans took their places in the mines and the fields in the New World. The 80 million Native Americans alive in 1492 became only 10 million left alive a century later. But the 10,000 Africans working in the Americas in 1527 had, by the end of the century, become 90,000 people. So while the Native Americans is dying off, we're increasing. Isn't that something? On July 13th, 1884, the people of Roanoke Island, North Carolina, their names embezzled on books, T-shirts, and silver commemorative medallions began a year-long celebration. It is their proud claim that U.S. history began with the British settlement on their island. Remember, we read it failed twice. Cultural events, though, out of the state announced America's 400th anniversary, and the U.S. government issued a special Roanoke voyage stamp. But that was in 1584. So, in 1584, and what was it again? 1587 is when they tried, but it failed. But these people like, no, we're going to celebrate 400-year anniversary of these settlements the British had that actually failed. And the government issued a stamp for it. So the government understood and recognized that. That would make it 1584, right? So I want y'all to remember that when we get into what the government tried to so-called recognize, that's why people believe. June 1627, Locals, wealthy Spanish official in the city of Santo Domingo on Hispaniola founded a colony at or near the mouth of the PD River in eastern South Carolina, 6 decades before Roanoke Island. 60 years before Roanoke Island? 8 decades before Jamestown. And also a century before the Mayflower landed on Plymouth Rock. Allion began the North American dream. Allion's effort has been overlooked because perhaps because most people prefer to believe that U.S. life began with the arrival of the English-speaking Anglo-Saxons living under British law. Perhaps his settlement is neglected because of its tragic fate, death by mismanagement, disease, and slave revolt. This is why they didn't want to teach this stuff. Perhaps it is unmentioned because it is a unique birth in the woods by people not considered a part of the white U.S. heritage. This book, I'm telling you, man, let's keep it moving. When Spanish Armada severed the settlements connection to British ports, it weathered and died. Roanoke Island became famous as the lost colony. But they had slaves there they brought. In light of his unacceptable object lesson for children, most unacceptable object lesson for children, most schools' texts prefer to begin U.S. history with another colony, Captain John Smith, Jamestown, Virginia, founded in 1607, not 1619. There's some folly lies going on out here. Captain Smith was sent out by London Joint Stock Company seeking profits from colonization. Smith sailed with an overload of failed aristocrats and settled on land owned by the Algonquin Confederacy. So what we're seeing here is a map. So this book is showing us that there were settlements with the English way before 1619. One of them was almost 60 years before that. All right. So here you can see that we were taken from the west coast of Africa. Remember, we were here in Israel. Some was here in Assyria, and we fled and went past the Sahara Desert, came here. Some fled this way, went down south. We read. Oh, I forgot, y'all. I'm looking at it different. So we were here and we fled and went over here. Some fled and went south, but even when we were being pursued, we started fleeing down south too. Then we were taken in ships. The majority of us that were taken in ships were taken to Brazil, but a lot of us were brought here first. Even some were taken towards Spain. And remember, Spain was the first one here. 1502 in the Americas. And brought over here way before 1619. And the book also shows that the English English teaching system preferred not to talk about all the rest of them. They want to talk about Jamestown. But this is saying Jamestown started in 1607, not 1619. But here's the pattern of us being scattered around the world. Period. And this is just this half. What were we to be sold as Hebrews? We were sold as Hebrews. Let's keep it moving. Slavery never stopped. Still go on today. When they got rid of slavery, so-called got rid of slavery in America, what happened? It turned into chain gangs. Let's get them arrested, get them in prison, and now we can get them on chain gangs and still slave them for free or practically nothing. Now, here's what I want to deal with, because this is one of the reasons why a lot of people think it's 1619, because of this commission that was set by the government. But we already read that the government already recognized Roanoke Island in 1584. So why are they HR 1242? 400 Years of African American History Commission Act. Why are they doing that? Here it is again. Let's keep it going. Y'all can take snapshots of this or whatever, or you can look it up on the website yourself. All right. This measure has not been amended since it was passed in the House of May 1st, 2017. The summary that the version is repeated here. Section 3, 400 Years of African Slavery Commission Act. The bill establishes 400 years of African American history commission to develop the carry out the activities throughout the United States. Commission the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the Africans in the English colonies at Port Comfort, Virginia, 1619. But we've already read that's not the case. We haven't read that. Even the government said itself. It was 1584 with the failed colonies. You can go read all this stuff on your own. I'm not going to read it because we got to, keep it moving. But when you read some of this stuff, there was money being issued to people because of this. There was money being issued. See, this was made a commission because there was money to be made off of it. And then the lie was even enforced that, yeah, we've been here since 1619, 400 years. When we actually been here since 1502. And slavery ain't never stopped. We're talking around the world, people. This was back in 2017. And let's remember, there was a lot of our brothers and sisters in West Africa. I don't know why they were being persecuted, but they were running to Europe. And when they got to Libya, guess who was meeting them there in Libya? Ishmael. And what was Ishmael doing? This right here. Taking them off as slaves back to the so-called Middle East. Y'all take a good look at this, man. I'm not mad or angry at them either, because the Lord said, I'm going to do this to you. This is the problem that we got as people. We can't admit our own faults, but we got to point the faults out of everybody else and get mad at them when we're supposed to get mad at ourselves and repent and change. Because the Lord is showing us his evidence. This is when our brothers and everybody is getting caught in Libya trying to get to Europe because of whatever was going on in West Africa. I want to say some people was probably being pursued by the Hamites and killed. So they trying to escape and leave so they don't be killed, but got caught and was taken as slaves to Saudi Arabia and other points east. It's a holding pen. These ain't old pictures, man. This is 2017, and I'm quite sure it's still going on because the world ain't never said nothing about this at all. Because God is not a joke, bro. He's not a joke. I want y'all to look at this good, man. He's not a joke. He's not playing. Everyone that we call it our enemies, he's using them as a belt to go upside our head to get the rest of us to see and be like, hey, I need to change. This is way past 400 years, according to Genesis 15. It's still going on. And even in America, I'm quite sure there's still stuff going on. It's just not being public. We just found out about the people that was in, I think it's Louisiana or New Orleans, that found out they weren't slaves anymore in 1969, 100 years after. Let's go to Matthew 24. Because the thing that some people don't understand either is that when you sit up and say that this 400 years is today, you're also saying that Christ is coming at the end of the 400 years. So when Christ is coming at the end of the 400 years, this is what you're saying is going to happen. But because the 400 years is over with, this is what should have happened. Let's go to Matthew 24. And we're going to read what Christ actually said in the end days. Matthew 24, verse 3. And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, his disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us when thou shalt see these things shall be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming in the end of the world. And Jesus, no, we're not going to go there. Let's go to verse 27. What are the signs of the coming in the end of the world? Because we can read through the book, when Christ comes back, he's going to gather his people. All right. Verse 27. For as lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Skip down to verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, we haven't even gotten into the great tribulation yet. This is how I know the 400 years is not applying now. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give a light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. But see, this is when Christ is coming. See, when we were in Egypt, he sent a savior, which was Moses. Even though the Lord is the one that brought us out, he used Moses to bring us out. And remember, when God got mad at us, he said, Moses, you brought them people out. But see, when the final chapter happens, Christ is bringing us out himself. But people keep saying 400 years. That means Christ should have came and took us out by now. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, again shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give a light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Now, if that's the case, the sun and the moon shouldn't be out there either when Christ comes. And then shall appear the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. This is after the great tribulation, right? Not before. There is no rapture before the great tribulation. Because what it says right here is the same thing you're reading in 1 Thessalonians. The same exact thing. Think about that, people. So again, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of the trumpet, and they shall do what? They shall gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. This is when he's going to gather everybody the same way he brought us out of Egypt. This is when Christ is going to do this himself. Nobody else. Let's skip down to verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. The Father's the only one that knows the day Christ is going to come and gather his people out of this world. Because this world is going to be over with. And then we'll be in Christ's kingdom. Lord willing, I make it to that. at the end of the 400 years, according to people that say it's in America, he brought them out at the self same day, as the book says, at the end of the 400 years. But the end of this 400 years ended on August 20th, 2019. And we're still here in captivity. Christ doesn't even know when that day is. Christ knows everything, but evidently the Father this is the only thing I'm not going to tell you. I'll let you know when it's time to go down there and do your thing. Verse 36. Well, we read that. Verse 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not of what hour your Lord doth come. So you need to watch, get it together, make sure you got your garments white and all of that stuff, because when Christ comes, he's destroying the wicked and he's going to save the righteous. But this 400-year prophecy does not apply now. It only applied in Egypt, because on the self same day they were taken out. We're still here. And as I've shown you, when it comes to a couple resources, 3 of them I showed, we weren't brought here as slaves until 1502. The first English colony was in 1584. They failed. They came back in 1587. They failed. And then they finally got Jamestown in what the books say 1607. The government here recognized the 1584. So then why are they saying 1619? Stop believing everything that's being shown to you by the powers that be. All right? This was a mistake that our forefathers made when they were reading this book. They thought the only Africans, or the only, I'm sorry, because my mind is on the other book. They thought the only Israelites were us here in America. And they were taught 1619. So they started, and again, this happened, if I believe, like I said before, in 1965. So somebody knew something about before 1619. But 1619 has been instilled in us, and now we don't want to do that at all, period. So 400-year prophecy was already passed. Please, people, anyone that's trying to predict when we're going home, when the end of the world is coming, is a false prophet. You know why? Because Christ doesn't even know. He knows everything that's going to happen, but the day that it happens, the Father's the only one that knows. So if Father's the only one that knows, the angels don't know, and Christ doesn't know, how does man know? Don't fall for the okie doke. I thank you guys for watching. We're going to get into, we're going to go ahead and get into Thanksgiving. I'm going to go ahead and do Thanksgiving. Look at me. My mind is all over the place. We're going to get into Thankstemonies. All right. And all you got to do is log on to the Google Meets link. When you log on, you need to see your face. You won't be seen on the by everybody else on this feed. And when I mute your mic when you first come in, and once you do, once I call on you, then you can come on in. All right. So let's go ahead and get into Thankstemonies. All right, first up on what's happening, Hebrews in the Hood presents The Walls of Jericho Have Fallen. Brothers Cassius, Israel, and Mikael. Cassius comes on Mondays at 6 p.m. Central Time on Facebook, uploads it to YouTube. Mikael does the same thing every Sunday at 10 a.m. under the name Hebrews Hood on Facebook, and then they upload it to YouTube. You can check them out. Brother Black Ice, Truth Hour weekly Bible class. Brother Black Ice comes on live Tuesdays on Facebook at 7 p.m. He uploads it also to YouTube as well. Brother Duell, House of Light Ministries, comes on live broadcast every second and fourth Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time. The name of his show is called Why Am I Thus? Bible Insights. Preacher Head Ministries. Brother Pastor Stevie Robinson comes on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central, and Brother Nehemiah comes on in the daytime on the Sabbath at 3 p.m. Central Time. They also have a donation. You can go to preacherhead.org if you wish to donate, because they do the same thing. They go out live. They go out, help the poor and the needy. He recently, it's been about a month, he went down to this organization, M25-35.org, which is Matthew 25 through 35. And their organization does the same thing. Go out, help the needy. Dallas, Texas. All right. So give your alms to them. Also helped out with, you can see him there in the middle next to Shaka Drew. Saga. Saga does the same thing here in Chicago. You can go to their Zelle, you can go to their Cash.app or their PayPal, or you can go to their website, which is SAGAESC.org, to donate, to give for their causes, for the help for the poor and the needy. And actually tomorrow they'll be out in Harvey, Illinois, my hometown. Harvey Community Giveaway tomorrow at noon on 154th and Broadway in Harvey, Illinois. You can still, and I would go out there because they may have some bikes. Last time they were out there, I came at the end, but they gave away some bikes too. So look for them on 154th and Broadway in Harvey. Community giveaway. That's Saga. The ladies at Vibe on Health. They come on every second Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. On YouTube and Facebook, you can catch them every second Tuesday of each month. Talks about a lot of things that's helpful for us. And last but not least, Sister Dacia with Glow Girl World has a prayer thing she does every fourth Sabbath of each month. So you can check her out. Any announcements you would like to be on this segment of the show, you can send them to TheeWakeUpShow@gmail.com. All right, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in to The Wake Up Show. Please like and share this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel on any of these platforms you can catch me on, especially on Clubhouse. During the week, I'm usually listening. I may talk a little bit. I'm going to try to plan something on Sundays because I'm already doing stuff on the Sabbath day now, live on Clubhouse as well, too. And you can catch me every Saturday, Lord willing, at 9 a.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Israel time. If you wish to donate to the show, you got your options right here in front of you. PayPal me at AzzaKFingers, Cash.app at AzzaKFingers. You can go to Zelle, TheeWakeUpShow@gmail.com. And if you have videos, professionally done music videos that are Sabbath worthy, you can email them to TheeWakeUpShow@gmail.com. And you can also, if you have church functions, if you have something you're doing for the poor, for the needy, for the less fortunate, and you want to be promoted in your area so people could come out, hit me with the flyer, 16 by 19 flyer at TheeWakeUpShow@gmail.com. Again, I thank everybody for watching and tuning in. Please like and share the video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you get notified every time I go live or I load up a video. So, hope you guys have a good Sabbath day. Grace and peace, shalom, shalom, all glory to the Father. In the mighty name of Jesus, who's blessed forevermore, you guys have a good Sabbath day. Peace.
That's BTPM.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for them Hebrews in the hood, that bruise in the hood, them volumes coming out. Man, what y'all know about that, man? See, I don't really think cats out here ready, man. You know what I'm saying? We out here serving the Most High. We doing what we doing, you see what I'm saying? Authentic, man. Y'all wanna hear what we got going on? Man, I'ma give y'all a little something, a little taste. Let's go.
50 degrees, 10,000 degrees, beware of the coming hereafter. I am a real son, nor my father, don't call me a bastard. They are expecting a rapture, please just escape to new chapters. I can't relate to you nappers, the words like a gauge and I clap. Yeah, or throw me in fire, don't let me disintegrate. Tell the judge to administrate, spill the blood when they litigate. But I'm no fool, I throw moves, he fit me in your shoes. But he got an ear problem, maybe you need Pro Tools. So listen here, King Arthur, missing Guinevere, not starstruck, never live in fear. I'm a hard buck, shoot the missiles clear. Get the message, dear? I'ma be my best this year. That gospel so prosperous, that lightweight, that phosphorus, that bloodline so hazardous. They always seem mad at this. Following that man they wrote, came straight from Nazareth. Came straight from Nazareth. In the hood they got a battle with this. Came straight from Nazareth. In the hood they got a battle with this. But it's all good, it's all good. I'm going all in from Saul to Paul, man. Get on the phone, man, and make that call, fam. Why you wanna stall? Damn. Meet me in the hall, man. You scared of the pressure? Trying to go pull that strap off the dresser? There's no proof any man is the lesser. Most these dudes is copycats. Vicious thieves with sloppy hats. They know better. Show and prove. Can't fake it, yeah, we know it's you. Demonic spirits, that is your excuse. Treat me like a poor excuse. Elohim, I got the juice.
Yeah. Y'all thought it was a game in here, right? We all in here, Joe. You know what I'm saying? Hey, when them joints come out, y'all better cop them joints, man. Y'all just heard that fire, man. We in here, man. All praises to the Most High Elohim, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who is the living God, who is Jesus. We in here, man. See, they don't know nothing about that, man. You know? But we gonna teach them. We gonna teach all these nations and all these people. Let's get it.
What's good, brother?
What's up? Let's see, man. I'm telling you, bro, this the truth. It's the truth.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Brother Earth?
Luciano, bro. Welcome.
Hey. Brother Prop. What's up, man? Prop, what's going on? Brother Prop, Brother Earth.
We in here just kicking book, you know what I'm saying? You got yourself a Bible, man?
Nah, I mean, I don't really read the Bible.
Hey, man, you remember what I told you, bro? You know what I'm saying? We took our hats off. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what y'all in? Y'all in, you know what I'm saying?
First Thessalonians 5.
First Thessalonians.
Good Bible.
It's in the New Testament.
What was it? The coming of the Lord. The coming of the Lord. That's right. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, as do others. But let us watch and be sober.
Let us watch, man.
I tell you.
And he ain't talking about, go ahead, keep going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me tell you something. For they that sleep in the night. And they that be drunken are drunken in the night.
Excuse me, bro. You know, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt y'all or nothing, man, but hey, Phil, bro, I'm a little busy, bro. I got some stuff to take care of, man. I ain't really feeling this for real. I'm gonna go ahead. I appreciate y'all time. I mean, I really don't believe this stuff for real. You want to, you know, I mean, I do appreciate y'all time, though. Yeah. You know.
God bless you, bro.
Already, man. I appreciate y'all.
I hope your mind changed. Good, nice meeting you, fam.
I already likewise, bro. Y'all be easy, man.
Like a thief in the night, stay ready for the Lord. Be on standby when the trumpet blows and cracks open the sky. Every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess to God. No time for tripping, hearken and listen. No backsliding, come up at your hiding. All about surviving, the Lord we abiding in. Get ready for the Lord's return.
These days getting shorter. Get decent and in order. That's right. Nowadays to make the evil good and call the good horrible. Folks can't even be cordial. What happened to our morals? If the Lord come back today, will he find faith among mortals? I wash my laundry, I stay with the oil, I rock my garments, fruits ain't spoiled yet. I'm just being honest. My father, my fortress. So I'm ready when he called me. I'm ready when he called me.
Don't get caught like a thief in the night. Stay ready for the Lord to be on standby. When the trumpet blows and cracks open the sky, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess to God. No time for tripping, hearken and listen. No backsliding, come up at your hiding. All about surviving, the Lord we abiding in. Get ready for the Lord's return.
We seeing pestilence, earthquakes, a famine is coming, it's evident. But y'all should worry about the president. It's other things that take precedent. The sky opening, rolling back like a scroll. The moon turning red and their hearts turning cold. The sin is about and it's high like a mountain to watch when they watching, so they do not know. The Lord coming back like a spawn. Let this run through your mouth before we run out of time. Yeah, we gotta incline our ear and define what it mean to be serving the Lord till we die. Please do not take this thing lightly. You ain't gon' miss it, cause he gon' be shining and flashing like lightning that come from the east to the west. Every knee gon' bow and every tongue shall confess.
Don't get caught like a thief in the night. Stay ready for the Lord to be on standby. When the trumpet blows and cracks open the sky, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess to God. No time for tripping, hearken and listen. No backsliding, come up at your hiding. All about surviving, the Lord we abiding in. Get ready for the Lord's
Look at the sky, the sun has arrived. Scriptures are true, the trumpet has blew. Salvation for those that walk in his truth. Have mercy on those that wanted the proof. I tried to recruit, just look at my fruit. Now you want salvation, too late, that fire is raining. I tried to warn you, whiten your raiment. He tried to knock, but you let the devil in. Evident, you didn't consider the consequences. Every day you had the breath of life. You could've got it right, he was your guiding light. Keep his commandments, this could be dynamite. Yeah, this could've been good times. Now you in the hands of a mad God. Praise God, let him rule with an iron rod.
For the body without spirit is dead. So faith without works is also dead. And Jesus said unto them, because unbelief, if you have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, that you shall say unto this mountain, remove from its place, and it shall not be impossible. Just keep the faith. For if you ask, it shall be given. If you seek, you shall find. And if you knock, it shall be open. Hurry up, come inside before it's too late. Don't get caught like a thief in the night. Stay ready for the Lord. Be on standby when the trumpet blows and cracks open the sky. Every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess to God. No time for tripping, hearken and listen. No backsliding, come about your hiding. All about surviving, the Lord we abiding in. Get ready for the Lord's return.
Hey, Phil. That's you?
Brother Earl?
Man, I need to talk to you, bro. I'm looking for you,
What's
man.
wrong, bro? What happened?
I can't do this no more, man. I'm tired of this, man.
What you talking about, bro?
Hitting cars, hitting licks, stealing, man. I can't, man. I'm feeling so guilty on the inside. Tell me, bro, what I need to do.
Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Time to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake! Wake up!
Time to wake up.
up your way. Wake up!
Time to wake up.
Subscribe. Have a blessed and restful Sabbath. All praises and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the mighty name of Jesus.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. In Jesus' mighty name. Hallelujah. Amen.